going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mortgage Grip Mike here. It is about to get a lot cheaper to buy a personal aircraft. Let me explain. Right now, if you're looking to buy or own a personal aircraft, and by personal, these are generally single engine piston airplanes. You would have two main options in the certified category or the experimental category. Certified airplanes are airplanes that are built by a factory, by the manufacturer. These are finished airplanes that you purchase by going to the dealership, right? And then experimental planes are planes that you have to build from pieces of parts. So if you were to buy a kit, is the standard name for these, you buy a kit for an experimental plane and then you either build it yourself in your garage or hangar space, or you hire a build assist facility to build the airplane for you. Now, there are some nagging rules that comes with the experimental category, but the most beneficial thing in going this route is because you get to save a lot of money. Basically, you can build an equivalent of a certified airplane for half the price. In some cases, a quarter or a third of the price. Take a Cirrus SR-22, for example. You could build an equivalent of that airplane for half that price or a third of that price. Or a Cessna 172. Matter of fact, there are tons of light sport airplanes right now that would match the same performance as a Cessna 172. And you can buy those for half the price. So that is the main benefit of going experimental. Now, there's some safety aspect to it. And like I said, there's some nagging rules that comes with experimental. But to help us breathe a little easier, the FAA has been working on a rule called the Mosaic rule. It's not just one rule, it's actually like a full-fledged program that consists of a bunch of things. But we're only gonna touch on 2 to 3 things in this Mosaic program. Okay, and one particularly dealing with the experimental category airplanes, and then we'll touch a little bit on the light sport. So that title is not a clickbait. I do believe that it's about to get a lot cheaper if or when this rule passes. So the Mosaic is proposing that, one, with the experimental category, we change some of the rules and limitations pertaining to that. As I said, you can build the plane yourself, which is totally fine, but also there's a lot more legwork that comes with building and then getting the airplane certified. And on the flip side, you can hire a build facility, but it will cost you about $100,000 more to have the airplane built. Now, you also have a limitation rule, meaning even if you hire a build facility to build the airplane for you, you also have to partake in the building of that airplane. There's the 51% rule, which states that you as the owner and builder has to have 51%. Basically build 51% based on points, by the way. So it's not necessarily you're actually building 51% of the entire airplane, but based on the point system, you're able to cover 51% of the build. So that's it's a little tricky, but that's the set rule. And this generally requires you as the builder and owner to make time out of your busy schedule to go to the facility, spend time there, build the airplane, go back home. Now, I went through this exact same procedure, and I can tell you that there's a cost to it. Okay, think about it, especially if you live in a different state or town, you have to buy your traveling tickets. When you go spend time with your baby, your airplane, for a couple of days, you have to get accommodation, hotels, maybe get a rental car. You have to pay for meals and just a bunch of normal traveling costs. When I did my estimate of how much I actually spent just traveling to the location of building my airplane, I gave a very conservative number of $14,000, but I'm very, very certain that it was much more than that. But that's roughly what it could cost you in additional to go and satisfy the 51% rule. With the new rule set in the Mosaic program, you can cut that off. So this is what's being proposed, is that if you go this route and choose a facility to build your airplane, the FAA may not require you any longer to be there in person. You basically hire a facility and they build the entire airplane for you without you having to show your face. Okay, now let's talk about the cost benefit of this. I've already mentioned the fact that right now you do have to go back and forth to satisfy the 51% rule. There's a cost attached to that, and it's a couple of $1,000s. So one, you save that money automatically. Now, some indirect costs that you may not think about. In a normal scenario, when a build shop is building your airplane, guess what? They would have to wait on you sometimes to complete certain things. So think about, for the build facility, if they're spending money to hire employees full time and they have to take a pause in building your airplane so you can make time to get over there and do your part. Generally, it will cost them more money, right, to build your airplane, which again, it's technically being transferred over to you. The build facility has to spend money whether your airplane is being built or not, and then you also have the traveling costs. Now imagine if this rule, or when this rule, because I'm hoping it really does pass, when this rule passes, all of that is trimmed off. You get to save your couple of $1,000s in traveling costs. The build shop gets to save money in having to pause for your build to continue. And I imagine over time, the cost to actually build an entire airplane will reduce for the shop, which they can also transfer to the end customer. Now, don't quote me on this, but this is what I imagine will happen in a perfect world once this rule passes. So although you may not see the savings directly from that, but also think of the time savings, because for those of us who work, either you own a business or even work hourly wages, time is money. So imagine the time that you're committing to travel, to go build your airplane. All that time is also saved. So you get to save the time. The factory or the build facility also gets to save the time. Overall, the cost of building an experimental airplane goes down. This is why I believe that it is going to get a lot cheaper should you decide to build an experimental airplane. Now, let's talk about another rule that's within this Mosaic program. It has to do with the light sport category. A little background on light sports. This category was created initially to help new entry owners to get a more affordable airplane, right? That's the reason, or that's one of the reasons why the light sport category was created. But guess what? It has not been affordable. I sell planes, so I know how much these things cost. Generally right now, you would find light sports in the $250,000, even $300,000 range. And it's like, what's the benefit of buying a light sport when you can buy a full four-seater or full standard airplane for the same price or less? One of the rules in the Mosaic program is to increase the limitation of light sport. Now keep in mind, light sports generally are limited in their speed and performance. They're also limited in the gross weight of the airplane. Right now, I believe the limitation is around 1,300 pounds and some change. But now the FAA is proposing to increase that gross weight. What that would mean is that currently some of the experimental airplanes can become a light sport airplane. A perfect example is the Sling TSI that I fly. This airplane is a full four-seater airplane, but it is light compared to its other competitors. Any other certified airplane you can think of, even experimental, the Sling TSI weighs a good 500 pounds less than some of these other models. So in retrospect, should the weight limit go up for light sport, a Sling TSI can easily become a light sport airplane. What this means is that the cost to build a Sling TSI will, boom, go down, because now the factory is going to build it rather than you building it or hiring a facility to build it for you. And if the factory is able to build it, the cost to you, the end customer, is going to be, boom, cheaper. Also, cost of ownership is going to go down, because insurance for light sport is very different from insurance for experimental. So a Sling TSI now becomes a light sport airplane. It also means that you're going to save a bunch of money on your insurance costs. So these are some of the savings that I'm looking forward to if or when this rule passes. Now, from everyone I've spoken to, we're expecting this Mosaic program to pass in the month of August of 2023. It's about a good 8 months from now, but it's still a short period when you think of how the FAA moves. So as a pilot, as an owner, and just for the entire aviation community, I'm personally very excited about this. Some of the rules that's being proposed in this program, I think, will make it a lot easier, one, to get certified, and two, to actually own and fly an airplane. Imagine if you can save $50,000, $80,000 on the same airplane that you're flying now. That's potentially what could happen when this rule passes. Let's stay tuned and hopefully we'll hear more updates from the FAA. And should one come out, you'd be the first to know. I'm curious what your take is with everything I just said, whether you're a pilot owner or you're looking to actually purchase your first, second, or third airplane. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. Again, my name is Mike. I hope to catch you on the next video. Make sure you subscribe with the notification bell on and also give the video a thumbs up. Thanks so much and